How are you feeling? Okay. All right. That's it. This place, it takes us back about 1,000 years right here. So the Sinawa people, who knows what Sinawa means in Spanish?
No había agua aquí. Hace 100 años los luchadores se establecieron en este lugar.
So what it means is seen without agua, water. So these are the
water, agua, water.
I guess the first thing is that why we're here is an idea to create a Sedona Magical Mystery Tour. So this is the Magical Mystery Tour. We've got buses and everything, and Arizona Spinal Cord Injury Association sponsored the buses and the drivers and the fees, some of the fees to get into the parks, and it's just working out really beautifully. So I really appreciate it. Kind of give yourselves a hand, I think. Yeah. Very cool. And has everybody here been to Sedona before?
One time.
Yeah, one time, never before. Everybody else has been here? Anybody who's new? Well, first time here. Got a couple new people. Sedona has been a place that people have come to. We went to Montezuma's Castle, and that goes back 1,000 years, but the history in this valley right here goes back somewhere between 12 and 15,000 years for sure, that we have good evidence of, and there's some evidence that it could be closer to 30,000 years of human habitation right here in the Verde Valley. So we go way back to the Paleo-Indian groups, 12 to 15,000 years ago. If you find rock art in our area, it's usually like scratch marks on the wall. Just on that mountain right over there, there are places that have pictographs and petroglyphs. I mean, it's all over the place from ancient times. The archaic Indian groups came up until about 3,000 years ago. People come at the same time the Anasazi. People come all the way through the southwest, the Four Corners area of the southwest, and they stay here for 800 or 900 years, and about 1200 or so to 1250, there's a fairly sudden disappearance of these people. So we have a lot to learn from the ancient ones. We don't know for sure much about them, but what we do know, we know from modern day Native American people. So we go and we find the Hopi people here. We've talked to some Hopi people who come and go out of Sedona. It's not too far away from the Hopi land. We have contact with the Navajo people. It's a crossroads of all these different cultures. To the south, or the south and east are the Apache people. So it's a crossroads. We have Chippewa represented here today from northern Michigan. This Michael is from there. So it's quite a history. So we get as much as we can get. If it's been this way for the modern native people, we can make some assumptions about ancient people. So what we know is that they were trading all the way into the Yucatan, and now we're in this place where people lived. They had corn, they had squashes, they had beans, they had other things that they ate, and they actually could grow crops right along the rivers here. So Oak Creek comes out of Oak Creek Canyon to the north and west, or north and west a little bit, north and east a little bit from here. Comes right down out of the canyon to the base of this mountain. This is Cathedral Rock, and it makes a hard right turn. Now that's kind of unusual. Why would a river just suddenly turn directions? So we wanted to get a little bit into the history, or the geological history. We're here in a place that's 330 million years of geological history. So it's a little hard to get the concept of that. How far back in time that is? There was only one continent at this time, and it was called Pangaea. And the red sand came in here in that time period. Now Pangaea broke apart and more or less forms the continents that we know of today. So Australia is here. If you see South America and Africa, they kind of fit together. Well, there's a good reason for that, because they broke apart. Over the 330 million years, we've had 7 different oceans come here on this land and go away again. We see the evidence, the fossil remains from those times. If you've been to the Grand Canyon, you stood on top of the Kaibab Formation. That's a recent ocean, and the dinosaur time would have been after that. So you would be actually standing on the Grand Canyon in the time period of the dinosaurs there. We're that much farther back in time. That was recent. We're way back in time, to a time when there were plants on the earth. There may not have been so many animals on the earth, or other creatures, so that far back. The other thing is that the sandstone here has a lot of iron in it, and that's why you have the iron color. Who's heard about the vortex energy of Sedona? Now, if you just think about that, it's what you've been seeing today. Is this a visual place? I mean, what you can see with your eyes here is striking. It catches your attention. There's even in modern design, like you think about computer science. Well, what if our computers could be an experience that would be similar to going to the edge of the Grand Canyon? where you look off and you go, oh, the awe of it all. Something like being in Sedona, that could become the design principle of our world. Wouldn't that be cool? There are people thinking that way. For who we are now in this place, you just think about the geology of it, and there does seem to be a special energy here. And not only that, because the way we're programmed, the way we get who we are in our world is through imprinting. So as children, everything is new and bright, and it imprints on who we are. And people say things, we get things from our parents, all that programming. So today, you have had new imprints. When something is striking enough, it can take us back like we're children. So I invite you to be like children today and enjoy the time, enjoy being with each other, enjoy learning like you were 3 years old again. So it's like you push the books up against the wall and you reach up and you can finally reach the light switch and you can turn it on. How cool! What's going to happen to the light switch next? On and off and on and off and on and off. You know, kids learn that way, so be childlike. The other thing about the geology, 330 million years, we're on a fault line here. About 75 million years ago, there's an earthquake, and it caused an uplift. So the land went like this, and as you notice, the farthest, highest point you can see off in the distance is called the Mogollon Rim. 2,000 feet straight up from Sedona. In half an hour, you can be from 4,500 feet above sea level right here to 6,500 feet above the Mogollon Rim. You're 7,000 at Flagstaff. You're 7,000 to 7,300 feet above sea level at the Grand Canyon, and it comes off even lower than we are here when you get there. But this place, the Mogollon Rim goes more than 200 miles across, all the way to New Mexico to the south and east, all the way to Ash Fork, Arizona, north and west from here, near Interstate 40. So you think about a kind of event like that. The Oak Creek Canyon is actually a side fault off of the big fault that created the Mogollon Rim. So the water comes out and has followed the fault line. Well, what we think now is that the fault itself turned, and that's why the water turns and now goes west and a little south, till it converges with the Verde River on the other side of this valley. So on the Mogollon Rim this side, we have the Oak Creek. On the Verde River side, the Mingus Mountains are there. The Verde River flows down along that. We're right in between these two rivers. So we're like in the Wish Fork, if you think of it that way. And if you think in energetic terms, I mean, that's a pretty interesting thing. We're between two waters in a place that has an incredible amount of iron and an incredible amount of energy. You'll see crystals in the rocks. The whole Red Rock area, we think, is the vortex place. And it's a place that people have been attracted to for thousands and thousands of years. The reason I picked this spot is that this is Cathedral Rock. See the spires right in the middle there? In the Yavapai story, can you guys hear me okay? With the wind and everything? In the Yavapai story, it's first man and first woman. Now the Yavapai were the people that were here when the first European people came to this place. The Yavapai lived all around. Now I've been talking about the cliff ruins. People lived up on the cliffs, but that's not where the Yavapai lived. They were much more modern. When asked about the people who lived in the cliffs, they said we don't know, because those people already came and they went already. So the Yavapai were here. They're still here. They're close by, just by Camp Verde. They're also over at Prescott, Arizona. But in the Yavapai story, this couple, first man and first woman, are walking along, and they're down by the water. This is Oak Creek right here. And they argue all the time, this couple. And they wake up an old snake. And the old snake, you know, it's a mythical time, and the snake, he says, well, he comes up to them and he says, why do you argue all the time? And they keep on arguing and arguing and arguing. And he says, I'm going to give you 3 chances so that you shouldn't be arguing anymore. And so, sure enough, he gives them the 3 chances, and they still argue. They argue about arguing. They argue about the 3 chances. They argue about everything. And he says, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you to stone. I'm going to put you up in the rocks in the middle there. And he says, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn you back to back so that you can't argue anymore. So the one on the right is the female form. She's the one with the big blue eyes. And the male is on the left. At a different angle, you can get more of the male excitement. The people, they were produce farmers because they could grow apples here and other produce. You know, the good place to sell produce, if you lived here, at the turn of the century, a little bit before that, was in Flagstaff. Now, how do you get to Flagstaff from here? If you go, you hit the Mogollon Rim, 2,000 feet straight up. So how do you get there? They had to go 11 miles south, kind of the way we came, and up over onto the top of the rim, and it's a 60-mile trip from Sedona to Flagstaff when you go that way, over hard lava rock. So it wasn't a very easy trip to make. And Carl Schneble is a man who got here right about the turn of the century, and he thought this was a wonderful place. They had to come to Jerome. The Mingus Mountains across the way, you've seen those? If not, we'll look. There's a town on the side of the mountain called Jerome. It was an old copper mine in running to become state capital at one time, so that's where he came, and then he got horses and they came across to this place, which was more Indian territory. It wasn't settled much yet. And there were only a few settlers here, and he got everybody together because he kept looking for a way to go to Flagstaff that would be better. And they all chipped in $300 each when he got a good idea. And they built Schneble Hill Road. It goes right up the side of the Mogollon Rim back over there, and after that they could go to Flagstaff in 2 to 4 days. So they could make a trip about once a week, and they became much more profitable. And so the little town began to flourish. And Carl, you know, they wanted a name for the town. Carl wanted it to be a more official kind of town. In those days, that was considered to be a very good idea. So he talked to a relative in the Postal Service who said, well, Carl made a list of names. And the Postal Service guy looks at his list and says, Carl, all your names are too long. You got to make a short name so you can put it on the postal mark, on the letters. So what happened was he had thought of Red Rock Crossing. You know, it's a little too long. It's a nice name, but too long. He thought of Schneble Station. Say that fast 3 times. Well, finally the postmaster said, Carl, the names are too long. Just name this town after your wife, Sedona. And that's how we got the name of our town.
Oh, really?
So it's named after a woman, and it has this beautiful feminine kind of energy to it, and it's a lovely place. So it's now a major tourist place. People come from all over the world to come and see this place, and no wonder why. So this is the park. We're gonna walk down. We can go along the way here. We'll be able to see the river. Kind of white river pulsation.
Annual Association. It's an association for helping to do many service for the people living in the Hispanic world injury, and the help for many information for the people is going out to opening and acceptance, and we're going out to know other association. It's a link in Phoenix for we're going to visit another association in help for the people. We're going to build very nice the new lifestyle, and it's becoming for the acceptance of what's happening. This is a living new life, very new lifestyle.
My question for you is about today's trip to Sedona. What have you learned and what have you seen that's been different, and how has that affected you today?
Well, it has enlightened me because I never knew all of this existed. I've traveled many times on the road back and forth, but did not know any of this existed. It's very beautiful, breathtaking, and the Montezuma's Castle. I've always wanted to go there, but I never did until today, and I'm very glad that I came.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. A couple questions I have for you are, how are you associated with the Arizona Spinal Injury Institute?
I heard about it from June Olson about 6 months ago.
Really?
And I think they do a great job helping handicapped people.
That's great. So for about 6 months you've been involved with them?
Yeah.
So regarding today's event, how did that affect you? And what did you learn today? And what did you really see that was amazing for you?
We had a beautiful trip to Sedona. It's great that you're taking handicapped people to beautiful places, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And I enjoyed the beautiful red mountains with all the energy in the area.
So what brought you out here today?
I was invited by Bill Thomas, and am kind of acting as the second tour guide. I'm riding the second bus and providing information. I live in Sedona.
Right. So today, what specifically interested you in about coming out and doing this today?
I just felt like helping out. I mean, I knew Bill, and Bill told me about it, and I decided it would be a good thing to come.
Great. Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Great.
So I've got a couple different questions for you, since you're the one who was the mastermind behind all this and gathering this together. I'm interested to find out what you've experienced today that was maybe different than you thought when you were thinking this whole thing up and deciding that you were going to do this. What is different? And what have you discovered?
It wasn't nearly as difficult as I thought it was going to be.
Really?
Everybody was great, and it all worked out fine.
Yep.
And for me, the thing is my friend Patricia Edwards. I took her on a tour a few years ago, and was so thrilled. I was so thrilled by her being thrilled about
She's very
experience.
thrilled.
And
it's amazing.
Wanted to offer this to other people. So I'm really glad that it was able to work out the way it has. So,
wonderful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I guess my first question for you is, number one, how did you get involved with the Arizona Spinal Injury Association, and how long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been involved since 2003 when I retired from the VA. And we started out with one truck, or one van, and I was doing maybe 5 hours a week. And now we have 4 vans. We actually had 5, but we left one up on Prescott. We have 4 vans and very active, and I now do about 60 to 70 hours a week.
Wonderful.
And I'm retired.
Sort of. So I guess I want to ask you about your experience today in Sedona. What was the most interesting thing for you today, and what did you get out of today as opposed to some other things you've been doing?
Well, what I got out of it, it's always interesting to come to Sedona, but what I got out of it was the fact that those spinal cord injured patients that we brought with us today to enjoy the day, this was a new experience for them. It's always great to see people enjoying something for the first time, and we hope that we'll be able to do it 2, 3, 4 times a year. It's a wonderful experience, and bring 3, 4 times as many people.
Yeah.
And you've been a wonderful host.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
as has Bill.
That's Bill. That's right. Bill is the one who started the whole thing
That's great.
and got me involved, and so it's going to grow. I think would be nice.
It would be
Isn't
great.
it really
We'll do
wonderful?
it some more.
It was great.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's a wonderful day for everybody.
And Michaela, I have to thank her personally.
Absolutely.
Must take her out to dinner or something. She wasn't able to make it today.
Right.
Oh, we'll all go.
That's right.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Como los usa el ranchero de los comienzos de lana, de los acabos de cuero, allá en el rancho grande, allá donde vivía, había una rancherita que alegremente.
How are you moving? De colores, that's what I want to know.
Oh, de colores.
De colores.
De colores se visten los campos de la primavera. De colores.
Are we talking about? You're hired. That's all it takes. Yeah, guys that do it all. I have very high standards. Thank you. You're welcome. Have one. Can I have one? Just making friends everywhere you go.
That was my last pamphlet.
Oh, perfect. You put it back inside. How long you been around the Sedona area? This is the end of the Magical Mystery Tour. This is my brilliant closing statement. It's really been great. We had a lot of fun, and it was more than I could have possibly dreamed for. And people seem to be totally, really deeply satisfied with what's happened and having a good time, and that's what it was all about. So I'm just grateful to be able to be here and do all of this. We'll do it again.
Okay, sounds great. The Magical Mystery Tour is coming to take you away.
Coming to take you away, take you today.